Do your thing. Okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to chemistry class. I am your friendly neighborhood healer, but not your average dope dealer. And we're going to talk about some dope things today. We're going to talk about some things, hopefully, that I'm going to educate you guys on some things that you don't know about. You're going to become informed today. So today's topic is for Nutrition Awareness Month. Glad to have your ass back in chemistry class. So I jumped out there on Monday, on Mad Scientist Monday, and I talked about fructose and I talked about sucrose, which is table sugar and fruit sugar. So we're going to talk about that today. There's so many types of sugars we could talk about, but we're going to stick to these two today because I could go on a tangent about this. So let me go ahead and start sharing and getting ready for this presentation. So if you are following me on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. If you're on Instagram, don't worry about it. You can always watch the playback. So like I said, Nutrition Awareness Month, fructose versus sugar. Excuse me, fructose versus sucrose, sugar and more. Like I said, on Monday, I jumped out there and I said that on Mad Scientist Monday, I said, here's a recap. I said that we are not the same, meaning that sugars are not the same. Often diabetics are told to stay away from sugar, but fructose sugar comes naturally from fruit. Have you ever seen anyone hospitalized for eating too much fruit? No, I have never. If you've ever, let me know. But you have seen a person hospitalized for eating too much sugar, right? They are called what? Diabetics. And sugar, on the other hand, is man-made, addictive, yes, even corrosive to the teeth enamel. This is why you get cavities. So sugar can degrade your tooth, the enamel on your tooth. Imagine what it can do to the inside of your cells, inside your body. So do I stay away from sugar? You damn right I do. Okay, so what's fructose? Fructose, like I said, is a fruit sugar. It's natural sugar you want to consume, right? It's a monosaccharide. When we talk about the etymology of a word, we're talking about the prefix and the suffix mono and saccharide. So we have mono and saccharide. We have mono meaning one, saccharide meaning sugar. So fructose is a monosaccharide, right? So it's a one sugar unit, and it's a simplest sugar or simple sugar, okay? So other monosaccharides that you may know or you have heard of, we all know glucose, right? And there's another one called galactose. Now, monosaccharides are formed of glucose to form disaccharides, meaning two, right? Disaccharide. That means we have two sugar units, right? So we have, instead of monosaccharide, we have disaccharide. One sugar unit, two sugar units. Now, examples of fructose, agave, honey. But honey is also a genetically modified nowadays. So they're genetically modifying bees. So I would steer clear of honey. And even as a vegan, vegans technically do not eat anything that has, a face. So honey would be a no. I personally do agave or date syrup, so that's what I use to sweeten things. However, fructose, natural. Oh, hold on. Okay, I'll make sure I'm on the same page. Okay, so table sugar, sucrose. Sucrose is your table sugar. That's your sugar that everyone knows, everyone loved as a kid. It's table sugar. I use them both as well. Go ahead, my girl. Derives from sugar cane or sugar beets, right? Both of those are hybridized, meaning that man has interfered to make it, right? So unnatural. Sugar is unnatural, man-made, hybrid. It's also a disaccharide. So I say stick to your monosaccharides, right? But sugar is a disaccharide. I say don't do the disaccharide, don't do the sugar, right? So you have two sugar units, which is fructose and glucose. These are the two sugar units that make up sucrose. But we've talked about this before when we talked about sugar in chemistry class. So I know you guys are well informed of what sugar or sucrose is, right? Just to recap, it is a disaccharide is made up of fructose and glucose. There are other disaccharides like lactose and maltose, but we're not going to get into that today. And disaccharides are broken down into glucose. So when we're eating foods that contain sugars, the end product is going to be glucose, right? So when our body metabolizes, digests it, it's going to end up being glucose. And that's how the blood sugar is checked. How much glucose is in the blood sugar? So I'm going to talk to you guys about an index today that you may or may not have heard of, but it just came to mind when I was actually preparing this class today. And I was like, you know what? I want to talk about the glycemic index because I don't know how many people know about that. When I learned about this several years ago as a nutrition educator, I was so intrigued. So I'm going to share this resource with you guys today. So a glycemic index is used to measure how quickly or slowly the foods that you eat can make your blood sugar rise. So on a scale, it's measured from 0 to 100, right? A 0 to 100 scale. So the highest scores raise the blood sugar quickly, and the lower scores increase the blood sugar slowly. If you want to actually want to know the glycemic index of the foods that you are eating, I do have the website available. Let me go ahead and pin that right now down here because I just learned how to pin this. Give me a second. It's glycemicindex.com. There you go, it's glycemicindex.com. So I just pin that so you guys can use that as a resource when you want to. So how do you use the glycemic index? So low ranges of 55 or less, that's going to be a low glycemic index. At a medium, you're going to be around 56 to 69, and at a high, you're going to be 70 or above. So we're going to talk about some foods that are high on the glycemic index and some foods that are low on the glycemic index, okay? So if you're looking at YouTube right now, you can see an actual table. It's broken down grains and starches, vegetables, fruits, dairy, and proteins. And this image is brought to you by courtesy of Cyber Report, but we're actually going to break this down a little bit further and discuss it. So anybody in the room on Instagram or YouTube, please raise your hand and tell me if you know somebody that either is diabetic or was diabetic at one point in time, reversed their diabetes, or is actually living with diabetes and has diabetes complications, or may have passed away from diabetes complications. If you know someone that does have these health issues going on, raise your hand in the class so that I can see. Okay, Chancel, thank you so much for your class participation. You do get some gold stars for the day, boo. Okay, so I myself particularly, I was diagnosed as pre-diabetic in around 2010. And this is how my journey began to have be at optimal health where I'm at now. My father was diagnosed as a diabetic in about 2004, where he learned that his father was also diabetic. So I say this all to say that you know someone who are eating these foods on this glycemic index where they're high, where they're going to raise your blood sugar, right? And going to raise it rapidly. We know people who are eating these foods. And even though they know these foods can cause their blood sugar to raise or can cause them to actually develop diabetes, they continue to eat them. So that's even more mind-boggling, the psychology behind that. But they're addicted. So let's get into this, okay? And I had to unlearn to learn too. So it is a process that people have to go through. And like we've discussed before, you have to give them their time and space to understand, become educated, and want to make those behavioral changes for yourself. But you can always try to help them by being being supportive and educating them as well. So Harvard Medical School noted 60 common foods. We're not going to go through all 60, but we're going to discuss some of these that are on the glycemic index, high and low, both ends of the spectrum. So foods, we already know. Can someone in the class tell me something that they think is going to be high on the glycemic index? And let's see if you're right. Just throw one out there for me. Don't all talk at one time. Come on, let's see those hands get raised. Let's see who know who. Hey, if you don't know, you don't know. It's fine. Go ahead and throw a guess out there. Okay, y'all being shy today. Okay, I see y'all being shy. Okay, so foods with a high glycemic index, a high GI. Ice cream. Ice cream was on this glycemic index that the Harvard Medical School noted. I have to go back and look, but I think it was at like a medium. I think it was in the medium range. But let me go back and check once I get off of here. Let me go ahead and note that down. Then I'm going to check that for you. So high carbohydrate foods, white wheat bread, whole wheat, wholemeal bread, white boiled rice. These are high rice, exactly. These are high on the glycemic index. So if you ever hear somebody saying, I'm cutting out carbs, why are they cutting out carbs out of their diet? They're cutting out high carbohydrate foods out their diet. Why? Because first of all, they probably don't know that they're very high as far as raising your blood sugar, but they know that when you eat these foods in abundance, that glucose or that sugar is stored as fat. So they're like, I'm going to cut out carbs because I'm trying to lose weight. Oh, but starch, yes. So, but besides trying to lose weight, I wonder, do they know that these are foods that are raising their blood sugar as well, right? Putting them in a position to be at a high propensity and likelihood to develop diabetes. So, okay, let's go back on some more high GI foods. We have breakfast cereals like cornflakes. We have vegetables. We got potatoes, boiled, mashed potatoes, instant mashed potatoes, French fries. All of these are high in the glycemic index. So remember we said it's between 0 to 100, right? So white wheat bread is at 75. Bread, yes. 74. White rice is at a 73. Cornflakes is at 81. 81. Potatoes, 78. Mashed potatoes, 87. French fries, 63. And these are at a plus or minus index. So it can be plus or minus that. But I like to err on the side of caution. I'm going to say that they're above rather than below. So according to Healthline, Healthline was a very, very good resource that bread, white bread, bagels, non-pita bread, they are high on glycemic index. And when I'm talking about the breads and the pastas, particularly on the glycemic index as being high, we're talking about white wheat bread, white pastas. We're not talking about kamut. We're not talking about chickpea. We're not talking about those types of pastas. Because honestly, I did the research and I didn't see those listed in the glycemic index with that resource that I just gave you guys. So white rice, jasmine rice, arboro rice, cereals like instant oats, breakfast cereals, lasagna, spaghetti, ravioli, macaroni, fettuccine, starchy vegetables. We just talked about them. Potatoes, baked goods, cakes, donuts, cookies, croissants, muffins, all of those yummy, yummy goodies you love to eat. Snacks, chocolate, crackers, microwave popcorn, chips, pretzels. I don't know about you, but I come from a family that loves to eat chips and pretzels. So yes, as a child, I was tearing up chips. High on the glycemic index. No wonder why I had such bad behavior, dietary behaviors. And I was actually, like I said, diagnosed as a pre-diabetic in 2010. Changed my whole life and my perspective of how I looked at life, right? Sometimes everybody needs a wake-up call. That was my wake-up call. I thought that seeing my father go through shooting himself daily with insulin, checking his blood sugar, even checking ours, I thought that would have been enough. I just didn't think that I was unhealthy until you realize you're unhealthy. And you have a choice to make. You're like, am I going to make a decision to change, or am I going to stay where I'm at because I'm comfortable and I love to eat those foods? I don't want to give them up. Well, I choose life instead. Okay. So I digress. So Other things that are high on the glycemic index is sugar, sweetened beverages, soda, fruit juice, sports drinks. We're talking about hey, Drea, we're talking about not 100% fruit juice. We're talking about those fruit juices with those added sugars and all that crap that's added. We're talking about soda. We're talking about sports drinks. We're talking about your Gatorades, your Powerades, and you can even add into there your Red Bulls that gives you wings. Has to give you wings. It's full of damn sugar. Okay, so other things that are high on the glycemic index are going to be, hey. So let's talk about some dairy products and alternatives. We have rice milk. That's at 86 on the glycemic index. That's plus or minus 7. I'm on here because I love sweets. As healthy as I eat, I like sweets. Listen, I love sweets too, sis. I love sweets too. But I like them in a different way now when you know that you have other alternatives and options. I made me some peach mango ice cream last night. And that's sweet and it's just as good. So you can get that sweet craving. You just gotta you can cut out that sugar. You can do it. Just try. So other things on the glycemic index that are high, sugars. Let's talk about sugars. That's what we're here to talk about, right? We're talking about sugars. So glucose is at 103. Now remember I said that the scale is from 0 to 100. This is tipping over the scale, okay? It's over the scale. It didn't jump off the cliff and jump off the porch, okay? It's matter of fact, it's jumping off the Titanic. 103 plus or minus 3. So that's at 100 to 106. Like I said, I'm going to err on the side of caution, and I'm going to always think that something is higher rather than lower. And I have an asterisk by glucose because it's not like you just go into the store and you're just eating like, oh, let me get that straight glucose. We're going to talk about that though. And sucrose, table sugar, is at a 65 plus or minus 4. Like I said, so that puts it at a 69. 61 to 69, going to err on the side of caution being high. So that's going to be on the high side of the glycemic index. Sucrose. Remember what we said about sucrose. Anybody in the room, we talked about sucrose in the beginning, which is table sugar. We talked about that in the beginning of the presentation. Anyone who feels like they want to jump off the porch and tell me what they learned today about sucrose that they didn't already know, go ahead and drop that in the comments. Or if you already knew it, go ahead and drop that in the comments if we covered it. But I like to see who's paying attention, who's actively listening, because I need y'all, when y'all come into chemistry class, I need y'all to learn something and leave with something, okay? Like I said, sharing is caring, so go ahead and share with me what you've learned about sucrose. Hey, welcome. CB Moore 138. Don't all talk at once. Don't be scared. Don't be shy. Don't be scared, okay? I don't bite, and neither does this phone or computer that you guys are listening to me on. So, all right. Ain't nobody got no answers for me. Yeah, y'all dry in here tonight. Come on now, chemistry class. There are 2 types of sugars. There are several types of sugars. Chantel, thank you for answering. There are several types of sugars. So we're talking about fructose and sucrose today. However, there's lactose, there's maltose, there's high fructose corn syrup. There are many sugars. There's agave, there's honey. So, oh yes, that I talked about. Yes. Thank you so much. Another gold star for Chantel today. Another gold star. I love those gold star students. Y'all be shining. Okay, getting back to the glycemic index, because y'all know I love to talk to y'all and play with y'all. Glucose is often added to processed foods in the form of dextrose. And you're like, what the hell is dextrose? Okay, which is extracted from cornstarch, coming from corn. This is from a resource coming from the Healthline, right? So you can find dextrose added to foods like desserts, drinks, snacks, and baked products. So Chantel, all those snacks or whatever that you said you love to eat, you got sweet tooth, you can definitely count on the fact that they're going to have dextrose in there. But what is dextrose? It's a synthetic sugar. Okay, it's a synthetic simple monosaccharide, synthetic sugar provided it is provided to diabetics to raise blood sugar. So if you go to the doctor, they may give you a prescription. If you have low blood sugar, you're hypoglycemic, meaning a low blood sugar. They're like, we need to raise your blood sugar because it's drastically low. We don't want you to go into a hypoglycemic coma. They will provide you with something called dextrose. Hey, or D-glucose, right? Or dextrose monohydrate, or anhydrous dextrose. These are things that they will prescribe you, things that you can actually get over the counter, and that is the pure glucose that I was talking about. This is the glucose that's going to raise your blood sugar through the roof, okay? And it's given to you by, or prescribed to you by doctors, or recommended that you go and you get this. That's the glucose that's on this glycemic index. That's the one that's very, very high. Because now you go into a store and you're like, let me just get that glucose. No, you get glucose in the form of something, but this pure glucose is what you need to stay away from and what can raise your blood sugar. So if by chance you go to the doctor, or matter of fact, scratch that, you're in the store, you're like, for some strange reason, you're like, I want some glucose. And you go and you get D-glucose. It's going to raise your blood sugar. It's at a 103 on the glycemic index. But anyways, and sucrose, like I said, is at a 65. So Harvard Medical School, again, noted 60 common foods, and we've been discussing those foods with high glucose, with a high glycemic index, which will raise your blood sugar. Now we're going to talk about the opposite, which is the low end, the low GI included, which will raise your blood sugar slowly, right? So we're talking about fruits like apples, berries, oranges, lemons, limes, grapefruit. I want to note to you that this information is brought to you by healthline.com. So lemons and grapefruits are not on the Dr. Sebi nutritional guide. So it's not something that I'm going to recommend that you eat, especially because grapefruit blocks the interaction of calcium. So it has a grapefruit effect, especially it can block interactions of certain medications and raise the actual medication in your actual bloodstream. So I would say stay away from grapefruits and lemons, but live it how you get it. That's what you like. That's what you like. So non-starchy vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, spinach, tomatoes, they are low on the glycemic index. Tomatoes is one of your girl's favorites. I've been eating tomatoes. I used to steal them. Thankfully that I can't get arrested for this because this was years ago. But confession, I used to steal tomatoes from my grandmother's neighbor because she was a wicked little witch. So when she would leave out to go wherever she was going to work or wherever she was going, I would go unlock her gate. I go across the street, unlock her little gate, pick her little gate. I would go in there and I would steal all her tomatoes, Miss Satterwhite. I would steal all your tomatoes because you had good ripe tomatoes and you were such a witch. I feel like you deserved it. I can't say right now that I'm sorry for that, but them tomatoes was bomb. So your girl is a tomato lover, okay? I digress. Whole grains like quinoa, couscous, barley, buckwheat, farro, oats. These are low on the glycemic index. Legumes like lentils, black beans, chickpeas, kidney beans. Those are also low on the glycemic index. I'm just telling y'all some real shit. Foods, fruit and fruit products. Let's talk about amaranth too. See, good point, Chantel. Now, remember when I told you guys that on the glycemicindex.com, the resource that I gave you, they don't talk about things that are on the Dr. Sebi's nutritional guide. Like amaranth, I'm pretty sure would not be on there. Kamut pasta was not on there. There was something else I looked for that was not on there. And I was like, this is really, really strange. Like, so they're just not going to test the glucose levels in those foods. Really, really strange, right? Anyway, so low on the glycemic index. Apples, raw apples, that's at like a 36. Really, really low. That's really good. Legumes, like example, chickpeas at 28. Really, really good. Fructose. Quinoa was on there. I don't know how to check, but I pinned the actual website down here so you guys can check it yourself. Fructose is at a 15. I remember we started off this conversation talking about fructose and sucrose. Sucrose was higher on the glycemic index than fructose. Fructose is at like a 15. Agave is like at between a 10 to 20. So these are actual fruits or fruits. I'm sorry. These are actually sugar or sugar substitutes that you can use because you do not have to have sugar in your life. You don't have to have sugar. You can use, you can eat your fruits and get your natural fruit sugar. You can use agave. Like I said, if you're not a vegan, you're not concerned about the bees being genetically modified, you can use honey and date syrup. I have to check that on glycemic index. I would hope that that's up there. I did look up spelt. That was spelt bread was on there and it was low on the glycemic index. So hybrid foods are higher on the glycemic index. So when I talked about several foods throughout the examples that I listed. Let's go back and see. Like rice, we have rice milk that I listed. We had potatoes. We had wheat, whole wheat bread. So those hybrid foods, you have noticed there's a theme in this. They are going to be higher on the glycemic index, especially starchy foods. Like we talked about potatoes. Starchy foods are complex carbohydrates. They are foods that the metabolization of those, when your body's metabolizing, it takes a longer process. It cannot be completely digested. So starchy foods and hybrid foods higher on the glycemic index. So if you have blood sugar issues, if you know somebody's diabetic, if you are diabetic, it can be a resourceful tool. If you haven't heard about the glycemic index before, it can be a useful tool for you. If you want to use it to navigate or just learn as and use it as a resource, it can be very useful in that regard. However, I won't say it to be a go-to, but you can use it as a resource. Now, let's see. Now, why is it that when you go see your primary physician or your practitioner, when you are diabetic, you may be borderline diabetic like I was, or you know somebody who is diabetic, what are they telling them about the foods that they eat when they go to the doctor? I'm going to jump out there and say that they're not telling them a lot about the foods that they eat. Why are they not telling them a lot about the foods that they eat? Because doctors are not trained properly or efficiently when it comes to nutrition. They are trained from a standpoint of pharmaceuticals. If I need to give you a pharmaceutical to fix your problem, so they're not going to be the person that tells you or prescribes you a diet and say, this is what type of diet you need to be on, this type of dietary intervention you should be on, so that will help you maintain or either decrease the likelihood of you having this chronic disease or put you in reversal. They're going to send you to a dietitian or a nutritionist, where those people are trained in dietetics, right? They're trained in nutrition, allegedly. But even when you go to them, they are not going to prescribe you a dietary intervention that's going to more than reverse the chronic disease that you are experiencing. For instance, when we talk about breast cancer, right? You'll see the yogurt come October, you'll see everybody putting up pink. You'll see the yogurts, you'll see the brands, the milks, all those kind of stuff where they got these pink little pink cancer ribbon on there, right? And they're like for breast cancer. But those very foods are the foods that contribute to the person having breast cancer. So if that's the case, imagine now when you go to a dietitian or nutritionist, what information are they giving you to reverse your disease? I don't know one dietitian or nutritionist that anyone has ever been to that has diabetes or had a chronic disease that helped them reverse their disease. I remember my aunt had breast cancer, and I believe she told me that they was telling her that she could eat beef and stuff like that. And I was like, why would they tell you that you should eat things like that? And those are the very things that can cause inflammation and manifestation of disease in the body. Strange. So to educate, I propel you guys and urge you guys to educate yourself when it comes to your health, right? And so when you go to a doctor, you may be a problematic patient like me, that because I ask questions and I challenge them because I have the knowledge, right? I'm also a scientist, so I'm like, you're not gonna get this one over on me. But let's go to some of the questions that I have, because I'm just rapping a lot of records right now. So Chantel says agave and dates are bomb, especially in plant-based ice cream and smoothies. Aren't they? I told you guys, I just made me some mango peach ice cream last night. I put some cut up dates in there, and I used some agave and coconut cream. Child, let me tell you something. Because I had a sweet tooth. I wanted something sweet. Set me up real right, okay? It was so good. So exactly, why they are giving the patients chemical-based foods loaded with dyes and BHT. That's a question, right? That is a big question that deserves a good answer. They're giving them these things because they're not interested in helping you reverse your disease, because a patient cured is a patient lost, right? A patient healed is a patient lost. So they're not going to, it's all about the money. And it's sad to say that we're the pawns in this experiment, in this game. But that's why you have to educate yourself, because if you're looking for someone else to save you, sweetie, you're looking in the wrong direction. You should be looking internally. Yes, and with a banana. Oh my God, yes, I have not had the ice cream with the banana, but I can't imagine that it is the bomb. So let me go and see if I can find, if I could get off of here right now. Let me see. I want to see if I can go to the glycemic index. And what did anyone want me to look up? What did we say we was going to look up earlier, Chantel? Remind me again. Quinoa. What else did we say we're going to look up? I can't remember. I'm trying to scroll through all these things, but I can't remember. I was saying they were pushing pink for breast cancer while giving patients toxic foods. Of course, exactly. If you ever watch What the Health, it really, really breaks that down. Amaranth. Okay, let's see if amaranth is on here. Let's see what they have. They have amaranth wheat flour flatbread. Amaranth wheat flour flatbread. What else they have? Amaranth popped. Ooh, that's at a 97. I can't believe that. So they have popped amaranth, and they have amaranth wheat flour flatbread. Anywho, okay, so the amaranth wheat flour flatbread is at a 66. The amaranth pop is at a 97, which would be very high on the glycemic index. Anything else that we wanted to look up? I think we had quinoa. Let's see. Quinoa. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free. I've actually finished the presentation for the night. So right now I'm just doing a little bit of experimentation, a little bit of research for those who are interested in knowing the glycemic index of certain foods that you may eat. So right here it's coming across as Cold Simply Gluten-Free Quinoa Cup. So it's giving us a brand, and it's saying that that brand is at a 53. So that would be low on the glycemic index. And we have quinoa porridge, which would be at a 45. But just raw quinoa, let's see. No, but there is a blend of lentils, quinoa, and beans on here. That's at a 36. But quinoa just itself, no. So I'm going to have to look at another resource for you guys. But let me see if the Harvard one has on here anything about quinoa. Let's see. Oh, you're so welcome. There is one thing that I did want to mention. Chocolate was on here. Oh, and you mentioned ice cream. Ice cream was at a 51 on the glycemic index. So it was considered to be low, which is very, very, like, okay to me. Chocolate was on here. That was at a 40. Popcorn was at a 65, which is going to be high, which we discussed. Rice crackers and crisps at an 87. Sodas and soft drinks at a 59 plus or minus 3. So we're going ahead and say that's at like a 62. Honey is at a 61. So I thank you guys for coming out and participating and just coming to chemistry class. I'm glad to have your ass here, like I'm always glad to have you here. I welcome you back next week to chemistry class, which we may continue the discussion about different types of sugars. We've talked about high fructose corn syrup before. We talked about table sugar. I may go into, welcome. I may go into lactose, talking about lactose intolerance. I may talk about maltose. But I am interested in what you guys want to know about sugar. Then I could create some content around that. So, yes, last time I spoke with you had just put your teas in a local grocery store. Yes, and now they are in several spots around the region of Washington, D.C. So we are booming. Just got another vendor that's located in St. Charles Town Center in Waldorf, Maryland, located at J Fire and Co. That's at J Fire and Co. So please do go ahead and support that sister and support my tea, Grandma G's tea. That's up in there. So we'll be there. You go ahead, girl. You can do it. You can do whatever it is you set your mind to. Manifestation. So who we got up in here that just came up in here? Ricky, hey, how are you doing? You just missed chemistry class, so I did not have your ass in chemistry class, but I will hope to have your ass back in chemistry class next week. And you know I am Professor Health. I am your friendly neighborhood healer and not your average dope dealer. So I hope that you really, really love the dope content that I put together for you guys. As always, I will be continuing to drop dope content for you guys. Let me know what you want to know about, what you want to discuss. And the Creative Chemist is here to serve your needs. So just let me know whether or not you want to DM me, shoot me an email, or just holler at me in the comments on Instagram. I love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. If you are not following YouTube, please do like, share, and subscribe. We love you, and we hope that you have an amazing and safe night. And do go ahead and look at that glycemicindex.com as a resource just to browse or, just pique your interest. And I will see your ass back in chemistry class next mother freaking week, dropping some more dope content. Love you guys. So, YouTube, I love you guys too. Thank you for being a part of chemistry class. I love your ass too, and I look forward to having your ass back in chemistry class. This is Professor Health signing off. I am your neighborhood healer, and I am not your average dope dealer. So, love to have you, and look forward to seeing you next week in chemistry class. I do not know exactly what we're going to discuss, but baby, love to have you here, and see you back. Okay, now we're going to, we're going to go right now, but I just had to say again, I love you guys. And share, like, share, and subscribe.